It'll say mine. Good morning, friends and relatives, or I guess it might be good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Lynette Tubles. My traditional name is Duanya Kiapiwi. Just like to thank all of you for joining us today, and we are currently coming to you live from Fort Robinson, Crawford, Nebraska, and we are on our Fort Robinson Outbreak Spiritual Run. This is our 26th annual, and today is our day of education. So we're learning about the history. We're learning about everything that happened here to the Northern Cheyenne people. And for those of you who don't know, at Fort Robinson, that is the place where Crazy Horse was also held captive and where he was killed. So there's a lot of history here, and you can feel it, at the fort. Our kids are staying in the officers. We went in, we blessed the building, we did all of that, but you could definitely feel outside, you could feel the energy. And so I want to thank all of you for joining us today. And we have a special guest as far as our presentations go today to talk to the youth. So we're learning all about the history. And as a part of our board, she's our honorary board member, Dr. Henrietta Mann. She is my sister. Her and Philip, through our traditional spiritual ways, they're brother and sister. And so she is my older sister, and we're so honored to have her on with us. Many of you know Henry. She's been on with our storytelling. She is a professor. She's done so much in her life that we're so honored to have her with us. And I'm just going to show everybody some of the youth that are here with us tonight. All right, everybody, wave to the audience. So these are the kids. This is our day of education. You can wave to Henry, Grandma Henry, too. Okay, I'm going to turn all the way around. There's everybody that's here on the run. Yeah. And then back there, right there is Chief Philip Whiteman. He's right there. And so we just want to thank all of you for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to Henry. Did you want to say anything, Philip? So we are coming to you live. For those of you that want to share on your page, we encourage you to do that. Share with your family and friends. If you want to share any encouraging words in the comments for our youth that are going to start running tonight. And it actually happened to break approximately 10 tonight. So we go to the rebuilt barracks, and we're going to mock that breakout. Kids will start running tonight. So that is around approximately 10. If any of you want to join us for that, we will be live tonight on just on Facebook Live, I believe. Unless we can get it on YouTube, then we'll be on that too. Philip, did you want to say anything to the audience? Or to Henry?
Okay. First of all, I want to still not pay warm.
No, how about
Amate Tisanin Tamatoa. Tisanin Tamatano. Yon who done it though. I want to thank you for being patient and participate in this day of education. And Ostona, per cloth woman, Haho, Niyakshimano. And I want to thank and encourage all the listeners to share this, what we're doing here. It's to address historical trauma, and also to, it's not just what happened here, it's what happened at Washita, Sand Creek, Wounded Knee, and that's what's happening on each reservation today, to bring the children here to feed them, plant seeds, and encourage them to do something different. And I want to encourage people and myself to learn to see the light in each and every one of us, and to love your enemy. Because sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. Thank you for participating. Guys, let me help you.
Now how about
So we're going to over to Henry, and we're going to sit and listen. And thank you, Henry. We wish you were here with us in person, but you're in our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers.
thank you.
Yeah.
Mata Hilda that just nesse na tata nesse pura that just the some excellent some there just a bit see home na die put on you so not that says the tishke not that so not that so that I just thank Chief Man and Lynette for all that they do for us, especially you young people. Philip is a chief, and he lives that way of life, and so does his partner Lynette. They have been doing this for about a quarter of a century. They honor our relatives that love their homeland so much that they walked, ran, and fought for over 1,000 miles so that you could have your reservation in your beloved North land. I want to thank them for all they do for us. I want to thank the Yellowbird Board of Directors for being there to provide the service to continue this for Robertson grade school children. I especially want to thank my younger sister, Jennifer, for always being there, for the Yellowbird and for the young people. I greet all of you with a very thankful heart, and I see that this year you are running in gratitude. Gratitude is just another way of saying thankfulness, gratefulness, and appreciation. We must always be thankful for living to see another day, to see our relatives once again, to see that sun rise, and to know that we have been blessed with getting to spend another day on earth. We each have much for which we can be thankful, what we can show gratitude for. And I would say primary among all of the things that we are thankful for, the Yellowbird, for Chief Philip Whiteman, for Lynette, for Jenny, for all of the board members, and for your parents and grandparents. We must always remember to be thankful for life. Life. When I think of life, I remember how one Mimiku elder, Mimiku is the Nez Perce Nation's name for themselves. This elder described life as, he said, the time or the interval between two breaths. The first breath, taking when you come to live on this earth, and the next, when one closes his or her eyes in that final sleep. And in between those two breaths of life, you have the life that you live and walk on this earth. What a miraculous gift. We must love life because we walk here on this earth one time, And we never know how much time is going to elapse between those two breaths, or when we will take our last breath. What we do know, however, as statistics, is that Mount Hill sends us to Earth only one time. Now that we've Chief Philip mentioned that. And we are all sent here, each with a purpose. And as we walk between those two breaths, we need to ascertain what we were sent here to Earth to accomplish. We're sent here for a reason. We are just not to come here without a purpose or without a responsibility. And in saying that, I really hope that I have identified my purpose in life correctly. I believe that my purpose for coming to this earth was to teach. I am of that age. I will turn 88 years old this year. That I have a very distinct honor to teach the younger generations, those of you sitting out there, those of you that are going to run back home, those of you that carry the spirit of our ways of life with you. It is my honor to teach you your histories, your ways of life, your language, and, of course, critical Cheyenne values by which we are expected to live. First of all, we have to love one another. Love love. There is no price that an individual can place upon love. It's free. And the one thing about love is that it goes beyond that. Love is forever. It encircles this earth. I remember my youngest aunt, my father's baby sister, walking me yet, not walking in it. One day told me, she said, you know, I love you, Mom. She said, I watched you come into this world. She said, but and I don't care how far you go. She says, my love is always with you. She said, I have a heartline connection with you, and it never will be broken. It's there forever. And I thought of what Mom said to me as I sat in a classroom in far off Spain. I thought of what she said when I sat on a boat on the coral sea of Australia. I thought of what she said when I sat in a university classroom in Germany. And think of what she says today as I sit with you as you journey to take the spirit of our beloved ancestors, those that did not make it back to that community. There is that connection. There is that love, just like there is love. That heart-love connection that can reach anywhere beyond the shores into an hour or past an hour, into the peaceful place of that all of our ancestors feel. Love, love us. I love you. I love all of you. I love my little brother. The other bit was my beautiful little sister, my younger sister, Jen. All of you that travel and give your time to drive our beautiful young people so that they can fulfill the purpose of taking their beloved ancestors back home. We also have to remember that we are an exceptionally respectful people. We respect like we respect people, we respect this earth, we respect one another, respect and love together are just the givens by which we live as statistics. We also must remember that we have to be honest, that we must never tell a lie, that we must never take anything that does not belong to us. We must always speak from the heart and to be honest in absolutely everything that we do, every day, every moment, every second of our life. It is just being shown to be honest. We all have to also be generous. Generosity, again, is another of the hallmarks of being shown. You know that. You see that. You see that at the 4th of July parade when our giveaways on individuals. You give material items. But it doesn't always just have to be material items. You can give away a drink of water, a cup of coffee, a handshake, a smile. Those things show your generosity of heart and show our open, exceptionally generous people. My late great-grandmother, whose name was Willis Starr, and who was at Sand Creek, and who was at the Washington, always told her son, my grandfather, and her grandson, my father, that understanding was a very wonderful thing, that we needed to understand each other, and that we needed to understand life, to know, to be, to strive to always understand the other person, even though perhaps they don't understand us. So understanding is one of the values that we care about us in people. And I can remember many years ago, back in, let's say, 1951, when I first left home to go to college. It was only 35 miles away. But my grandfather sat down and talked to me, and he said, I want you to always remember, he said, that no matter how much education you get, he said that you always have to be a very humble person. You are just one of us. You may have more education, but that does not make you better than anyone else. And they, my father and my grandfather, watched that to make sure if I came home to visit, that I took the opportunity and the time to go and shake hands with everyone and to speak with and to greet them in a very good, heartfelt way. We also were taught to be a very patient people, and it is very important to be patient, especially living in the world that is as fast-paced as today is, when you can get on your iPhone or a computer and talk to someone, a continent away or across the country. That is very quick, but you have to slow down and be patient. Be patient with older people like me when we can't run like you do. I am so pleased that you open your heart and show your strength and your love for those of our ancestors that did not give up. Even our world was created, we were sent to earth for the purpose of keeping our grandmother Earth company. And Mother did not want her to be alone, as Mother Aunt was with the world before Mother created this world in which we live. And so we are here to keep his first grandmother of ours, oldest one, first one, to keep their company. We also have to remind ourselves that we journey with statistics, with shamans, on a road of life, and that we are expected to walk on earth in a very quiet, and loving way. Furthermore, and very important, we have a responsibility to always protect earth from harm and destruction. Unfortunately, we know that some of our brothers and sisters have not lived the way we were taught as Cheyenne people, and now we are at the brink or into the whole problem of climate change and global warming. What about that human, these humans, these strangers that came to live with us, whose relatives still live across the waters? And we have that responsibility of doing all we can to protect this earth from harm and destruction. And one of the ways that we do that is through our ceremonies as Cheyenne people. We remove all of the earth and everything on and in it. We have a responsibility for maintaining the health and well-being of the earth, our only home. We have no other place to live. We don't have lands like our relatives, the birds. We don't have where to feed like our relatives, the plants. We don't have the money to go out into space and explore like some of those millionaires have to go out into space. They just won't out there. We may never ever find out there that there's no place for us to live there. And the International Space Station certainly will not hold all of us. So we have to take care of this our earthly life. And our generations upon generations of grandparents knew this, and they have continually passed down these important teachings to us. Now, as a people, we have lived on this good earth for a very, very long time. We are an old people. We have lived long on this earth, and our stories keep the past, preserve the sacred account of our grandparents' hand, our beautiful world, and the most beautiful that we have seen on this earth. Grandmother. And these stories also hold our history as a peoples. They even hold the knowledge of how the star constellations came into existence. And they teach us, these stories do, how to be and not to be, especially in our witness stories, where you have this individual that always wants knowledge, but sometimes and somehow misuses it and puts himself in terrible predicaments. Those witness stories done as much to teach as they are told to entertain us. Our stories usually begin with the phrase "evolved," which means long ago, in the past of long ago, evolved. And it was in that very long ago time that McGill created our world, and he brought the four and the most sacred, powerful spirits into existence, created this grandmother earth, and finally at the end made us as human beings. And what we were created and brought into existence, we were placed on a road of life which stretches from the beginning of time to today. Well, as strange as it is, generations of our grandparents who lived long ago lived in a time without the strangers that we today call it. Can you imagine a time without it? Well, some of our grandparents lived in that time where those strangers did not share and claim this land like those strangers did when they came to live with us on our homeland, the land we were supposed to love together, and will always love. Then, as time passed, my heart seemed us too good enough to brought our ceremonies and established the good way of life that we know today. One of the erections brought the Sundance on a mountain covered with trees that is somewhere far to the northeast, which some say is close to the Pipestone Quarry in Minnesota. We don't know where that mountain is, but today that mountain is identified as Bear Creek. And those who so choose to go through the Sundance renew all life and restore everything to good health. And we too are renewed, especially those of us who drink the sacred water from a Sundancer's water bucket to heal ourselves, to bless ourselves, to drink that sacred water of life. The other good man whom I heard my little brother Chief Philip mention was sweet medicine, and sweet medicine was called to bear Butte, and he remained within that sacred mountain for 4 years. And during that time, all of the spirit powers of the world taught him how we were to live and to be as Cheyenne people. Our ways of life come from this sacred place that we call Norwoods. Bear Butte is our teaching mountain, or the hill that gives. I know that's the first place you stop when you come to run on this journey. And so it is good that you go and take you there so that you can walk on sacred ground. And from that place, the hill that gives, that gave us a way of life, came our council of 44 peace chiefs. This traditional governing body originated there at Bear Beach, as did the soldier societies, and as did our ways of life, and all it means to be existence. It is a generous mountain, marvelous is, that continues to guide the hearts of all Cheyenne people who are taught to think with both the mind and the heart together. Sweet medicine lived with us for well over 400 years. Some say 445, others say 446 years, but that was 4 long lives of a person. He was very powerful and could see into the future. And before leaving us, he sadly told us about the time when we would meet the strangers who would come from the direction from where the sun rises. He predicted the many different and strange ways they would bring with them, and described their greed for the land they would take. He also said they would be looking for the yellow metal that Mahir put in the earth in many places. He stated that this yellow metal that we call gold makes the white man crazy. They are always wanting to be wealthy. and it makes them crazy. And it makes them crazy. And he also advised the people not to let them take our children to educate because those that they took to educate would not know their Cheyenne words. Sweet Wilson told us so much about the changes that the strangers would bring to us. However, he did give us continued hope for the future. He said that if we remembered his words and his teachings and practiced his ways, that we as statistics, we would endure as long as the sun, the moon, the stars, and Chief White Animal, who was killed at Sand Creek, saying his stepson, when he knew he was going to be killed by the Colorado fire. And that song of his states very simply, nothing lives now except the earth and the mountains. Life can be very short for us. He sent these two very good men to teach us. And it is critical that we remember everything that they taught us. Their teachings have given us a strong spiritual foundation, and we must remember their teachings. And when we do, Cheyennes will live on into the future, hopefully forever. We must also remember that we can never abandon our grandmother Earth, who needs our company and our continued protection. And so, as time went on, Sweet Medicine's words came true. The strangers have found our land, and they came here to stay. Indeed, they wanted the land and initially took it through one treaty after another. They were intent upon owning the land from the Atlantic to the Pacific. But American Indians, us included, statistics, stood in the way of that progress. And thus, as human obstacles, we had to be exterminated or removed. When the federal government abruptly ceased treaty making in 1871, they instituted what was called the reservation period. Eventually, orders were sent out into the field that Indians had until January 1876 to peacefully report to the reservations. However, winter conditions made it impossible for the Cheyennes to comply with this order, and now they had no choice but to face the military. In June of that year, 1876, thousands of Northern Cheyenne, Lakota, and Free Northern Arapaho, as Chief Philip mentioned, were peacefully encamped along the Little Bighorn River. And on June 25th, 1876, Ron George Armstrong Custer, and 262 of his men attacked the village, and they were all killed. This was a significant event in both Indian and American history, in tribal history. The three nations who had defeated the 7th Cavalry Regiment of the United States Army and carried away its regimental flag are heroes in my estimation. Though this was a major victory for the three nations, it meant they would no longer ensure peace. And this led to a critical time for the northern group of Cheyennes. One portion of Tsitstas had already been removed into Indian territory, now called Oklahoma. Ultimately, when Crazy Horse surrendered at Fort Robinson in 1877, so did the chiefs, Donna, Littlewood, Standing Up, and Wild Hog, and all of their people. And later that year, the federal government decided to move Northern Cheyenne to Indian Territory as well. Subsequently, nearly 1,000 Northern Cheyenne were forced marched to Indian Territory to live with their clansmen on their executive order reservation. Upon their arrival in August of 1877, they ascertained that their southern relatives were living in poverty, that they were in a state of starvation, and they all eventually fell ill from malaria, measles, and dysentery. Unfortunately, about 50 Northern Cheyennes died, and consequently, Chiefs Littleworth and Belmont made the decision to take their people back home. After telling the Indian agent at Fort Reno that they were bringing home around 300 of them left the next morning on September 10, 1878. A blind older woman by the name of North Young, or Mudam, escaped with them, and with her sacred powers guided them on their courageous journey back north, a journey of more than 1,000 miles, in which they successfully eluded 13,000 men, 10,000 soldiers, and 300 civilians. And upon reaching Nebraska, they separated into two groups, one led by Littlewood, who turned toward the sandhills in Nebraska, the other led by Donna, also known by the name of Monster, turned his group toward Fort Robinson. You know what happened, and I leave you to fill that in. What is important to remember is their immeasurable love for their northern homeland, and how their hearts were so rooted in that place that they would risk their lives to return there, even defying the United States government. What an act of courage and bravery. Essentially, they risked everything so that they, their children, grandchildren, and all of their descendants, you included, could live in their beloved Northland. We have to remember that some even gave their lives on that yacht for that run back north at Fort Robinson in Africa. What a sacrifice. They sacrificed their lives, some of them did. And there is even the story of one woman giving birth on the journey north. Well, what a wonderful way to bring new life and hope to the people. What a brave-hearted woman. Then there is Northland, that blind elder, who with her powers could help guide the people on their desperate journey back home. What an epitome of what elders are and must be. What a wonderful role model she is. And then there are the peace chiefs, Belmont, or minister, and literally, who as true chiefs led their children away from the hot, dusty place of starvation, illness, and hostility back to their beloved homeland, to the north. What a demonstration of love and commitment, a demonstration to the demands and responsibility of being a peace chief, just as it is today. 143 years later, you mourn for them. Thank you. You long for them to complete the journey. That's good. Unfortunately, not able to complete. You come from a long line of loving and courageous people, people that are committed to life. They are a people who follow the ways of not will. And those two good men who came to us in the past of long ago, their teachings, however, live in you, in your mind, and in your heart. And just as they followed the ways of not will, and the two good men who brought us our ceremonies and ways of life, so must all of you, all of us, and all shine. We must continue to follow their teachings and ways. As but a reminder, we must follow the four laws that came from their group, that came from theirs. One, never murder another child. In fact, never murder another person. Love is compassion. Never cheat. Never cheat. Be honest. You've heard these things before. I'm just reminding you. Never tell lies. No. Be truthful no matter how it hurts. These are the laws that sweeten the sick, change us to follow, and finally grace her. Never know one's relatives. So you have to remember that. You do not commit murder, you do not cheat, you do not lie, and you never lie a relative. Also, remember the teachings of our grandparents who say no, that people are more important than material items. Be good to one another. Respect other people, and not just the two-legged walkers that walk on earth, but the other people that stand rooted in the soil of this ground, who fly, who swim in the water, who run on four legs, those that crawl on the ground. Respect all of them. Respect the earth. Respect the mountains, and especially their feet. Be honest, be gentle, kind, and polite to one another. It doesn't cost anything to do that. It's free. You can steady. And I'm happy to see that you do too. Cooperate with one another. Help each other. Help one another. Some people cannot get around this fellowship. Maybe and be generous with your heart. Be generous, just as those that walk that were generous, and many need to live and live it up more for treasure the shining language. And remember, it is not your fault that you have not learned so empty, because spirits took that opportunity away from us. That was why sweet medicine told the shamans to not give up that sugar to the strangers, because those that they took to educate would not know their shaman names or their languages. So treasure the shaman language that was given to us at the beginning of time. It is a sacred language. And love the earth. It is your only home. It is our only home. Walk on it gently. Walk on it tenderly and with love. And so, as but one of your grandmothers, I am here to just remind you of the ways that have always guided shamans. One day, your children and grandchildren will need to know and live in her. Probably hard for you to visualize right now that you would even become a parent. But you will, and you'll be blessed with becoming a grandparent as well. Remember that you come from a long line of wise, loving, and respectful people who courageously face life in an ever-changing world. I'm sorry if you're having audio problems. I don't have a good phone. I tried to turn everything off, but I'm nearly through. I hope you can hear me. Our grandparents lived with change and they adapted to it. And remember that you are just as brave as your ancestors who passed their beautiful way of life down to you. You too are flexible, strong, and good-hearted human beings. You easily adapt to life in a changing world, much easier than I did. You are a wonderful, good-hearted group of young people who carry the essence and beauty of the Zatistas way of life. You demonstrate your strength and courage as you run into and with the changing weather in your 400-mile journey back home. In closing, I say, know your destination, know where you're going, walk softly, walk mindfully, walk hopefully, and walk peacefully. Also, remember to be thankful for the prayers your ancestors have thrown over you, with the expectation that you too will throw your prayers of protection out into the future to protect the Zatistas who have yet to come walk on earth. Believe in yourself. You are beloved, and I am so proud of you. One home, and we respect the loving love, and know that I am around and supporting you. as you take our ancestors back to their beloved home. Now,